Look at that, was just an utter failure. But what was happening there was obviously I figured out this is 8 years ago. I vaguely remember doing this, but I do remember the story now. I remember the incident. I remember walking in. I remember the weather. I remember that it had been kind of sprinkling nice. If I go back and look at the weather, because I had said the thing about the wet smell of the wet pavement blew through the door as the door opened. I know what door I'm talking about. Um, I know. Yeah. So now let me read it. Oh, this is a little longer than I thought. I originally thought it was pretty quick, but there's okay. Here we go. Hi, this is Johnny Torque, and I'm reading a cute little romantic story that I wrote on Twitter 8 years ago, a year, almost exactly to the day that I ran off to LA. I got pictures and video and stuff to go back and say, oh yeah, this is when I left. So it's about a year. So I was, and I was only down there for like a month. So a month of destruction. So a year later, I started working security, blah blah blah. Got into this hospital, great paying job. I had experience. So I'm a registration person. I used to go around and relieve all the other people for their lunch breaks and stuff. So this morning, just to set up the story, and I know there's a way to screen grab the video, record the video, so I can scroll. I'm talking, whatever. I tried doing that the old-fashioned way. Now I'm just gonna read the story because now I'm there. I can smell like the wet pavement blowing through my window, but I think my dog just peed. No, I'm just kidding. He's sleeping down. Okay. Now I can get more into character because I understand the story, and I'm back in that place. And I think I know Janice wasn't who I thought it was. Janice was a coworker who she could have been named Karen. All right. Janice to me was a kind of a Karen. Okay, we all know what that means. It was a typical morning at the clinic. I just arrived to relieve the first gal. I don't reach out, gal. I heard by an African American woman, black woman from Louisiana. When I referred to a new employee, I guess she's a cool gal. And she was a young African American woman, black woman. She was a woman. She identified as a woman, as far as I know. This was 8 years ago. Didn't have to think about all this, but I was woken up the word gal 8 years ago by this lady, great lady that I loved and respected. Just great lady. So I said, oh, she seems like a cool gal. She was asking about this new employee, and she goes, don't ever call a black woman gal. I guess it's akin to calling a black man son or boy. I guess I didn't realize that, so I apologize. So I just don't use that word anymore. It pops in there because it's like, hey, gal. I think it's kind of a throwback word, but most throwback words are bad, aren't they? So anyway, here we go. I'm going to try to get through the story, but this is kind of like a precursor to kind of what I want to do on stage, only under controlled and scientific environment. This is just a small glance into that. And by the way, it's 8:23 Saturday morning, October 1st, 2020. Like 8 years and 6 months after this cute little story. Let's get into it. It was a typical morning at the clinic. I just arrived to relieve the first gal for her lunch break. The smell of wet pavement blew through the door as she walked into the office. Janice asked her to have a seat. As I walked into the office, our eyes met. Not a passing glance. One of those meetings of the eyes that can go terribly wrong if you forget to smile. I, I think it was until like a lot when you get lost in someone's eye, you're like, wow, okay, that was this is my. I'm sure there's some creepy pasta short story written from her perspective. Okay, I had another similar experience, by the way, that I thought, oh my god, this is the one. I've had that a few times, if I'm being honest, and they never worked out. So I've been single for whatever 3 years now, I guess. Plan to be the rest of my life. As I walked into the office, our eyes met. Not a passing glance. One of those meetings of the eyes that can go terribly wrong if you forget to smile. I'm trying to get it, but whatever. She was already looking at me when our eyes met. Instinctively, I glanced over my shoulder to be sure she wasn't looking at someone behind me. You know, someone attractive. I approached the desk as Janice left and greeted her. She must have been around 30, which happens to fit into the appropriate age range according to the bylaws set forth by no one in particular. She had a sort of timid, sweet vibe about her. Beautifully fragile. The kind of girl that you instantly want to become protective of. Not in a creepy, possessive way. In a brotherly, fatherly way. Stepbrother. I just added the last part in. We talked a little bit about ourselves. Not in much detail, just enough to find out that she used to volunteer at this clinic. Now she works at Bed Bath & Beyond. It's getting deep. She asked if the psychiatric unit was still open. She remembered looking into the window watching patients walking around in circles. I pictured a frustrated tiger in a shabby zoo pacing back and forth day after day. I told her that it was closed, but I'd heard plenty of stories. I told her that I worked in the emergency room a lot and that we get our fair share of crazy stories over there. She told me this is longer than I thought it'd be, actually. I thought it'd be like 5 minutes. It's never going to be 5 minutes. Because I thought this was, it's kind of sweet, all right? I thought it was about somebody else at first, and then I looked at the timeline, and I was like, no, that was way before this. And then there was another one. There have been a lot of girls that I've pined for, a la Kevin in the Wonder Years, or any of the losers that never got the girl. I'm one of those guys. I'm the king of those guys. I'm the king of the losers that never got the girl. And there have been several that I've been like, here she is. This is the one. I've added things and subtracted things anatomically to my betrothed. But nah, it's fine. I'm better off alone, believe me. So now this story is taking a turn. Let me go back. Let me go back to where I wish I was recording this better and full screen and whatever, but whatever. Fuck, I don't care. I just got to get out there. My roommate's been gone for weeks. I haven't done any. I've been sitting on my hands doing jack shit. Bobbing and weaving questions from my daughter. You okay? I'm fine. I need to do this. This is cathartic for me. Just to get all these stories out. Because there's so many stories. And I'm 48. I'm not getting any younger, so I got to get it out there somehow. So here we go. This is just a, this is a long tidbit, but this is just literally a tidbit of that whole idea I had yesterday afternoon. I'm not going to start at the very beginning. I want to start where it turns. And I'll read it all the way through at the end, I promise. Second video all the way through. This is showing you my process. I think it's cool, maybe. Okay. I'm going to start. I'm going to start where she sits down and we start talking about ourselves a little bit. She tells me she worked at Bed Bath & Beyond. Okay. I'm going to start there. Because it takes a turn. Once she's like, oh, is that psychiatric unit still open? I'm like, no, I've never been to that. I mean, not that I'm aware of. What's a psych? Been to a few at that point, by the way. Myself. Just saying. So, okay. We talked a little bit about ourselves. Not in much detail, just enough to find out that she used to volunteer at this clinic. Actually, a hospital. Now she works at Bed Bath & Beyond. I think her first name is there. The last name is... I'm not going to find it. She asked if the psychiatric unit was still open. She remembered looking into the window, watching patients walk around in circles. I pictured a frustrated tiger in a shabby zoo pacing back and forth day after day. I told her that it was closed, but I heard plenty of stories. I told her that I work in the emergency room a lot, and we get our fair share of crazies over there. She told me she'd heard stories of people in the ER putting things where they don't belong. I mentioned a recent circumstance involving a man in a remote control. True story. You'll never guess where the remote control was. And I'm not talking a Roku remote. I'm talking the one that comes with like your really nice TV. Perhaps she's not quite as innocent as I first suspected. I must remember her name. Bed Bath & Beyond. For nothing more than the slim chance that she found me, the leapist. You take it back. So, this, I'm going to read it through straight. This is my process. This little story, which is a true story, by the way, and has brought me back there emotionally, how I feel. Just the whole, now look over my shoulder, make sure she look at somebody who's actually trying. That's me. Okay. Just know that before. This is a good place to start, actually. Because that is me. That is me. That's how I feel about myself. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I mean, you know, come on, I'm a mess. I think this is the coolest thing on me, and I'm digging that. But I'm gonna start from the top. That I left you with the cliffhanger. I'm gonna start from the top.